Bigme loves releasing units. They seem addicted to it. Their units are all over the place when it comes to incremental releases, overlapping sheets of specs. They're just a little bit confusing at times. Well, let's add more fuel to the fire. This is the B1051C, a unit that doesn't even have a name outside of its model number. Previous devices like the Eink Note Color, the Eink Note X had names to it. This one doesn't. So what does it bring to the table? Well, comparing it to their previous, I guess you could call it, Eink Note X Color, it features the same 10.3-inch color screen, resolution, RAM, storage, microphones, camera, and actually a smaller battery going down from 4,000 milliamps to 3,700 milliamps. And fitting in line with how our industry functions, you cannot upgrade Android versions on e-readers, or at least not one single manufacturer has ever done it. So that leaves manufacturers like Bigme to release new units when they want more Android versions. So this has Android 14 on it. So with all of that, it is a little bit different, but how does it perform in the real world? Well, let's check it out. In terms of the build, this has to be the best device they've ever made stylistically, and I think it's all really attributed to this top rail. It really does set them aside in terms of a research and design perspective because it really just changes the whole dynamic of how this looks. You get this very nice kind of soundbar-esque perforated top rail with 4 microphones hidden inside. They used to be on the top, but now they've been repositioned over to the side. On the top, you have a USB-C, you have a power button with fingerprint unlock, and you have a speaker, as well as a status indicator light. The door on the SD card has been reinforced and redesigned the way it looks and the way it feels. It's much stronger than before. The bottom has nothing going on. You have a flash package with a camera on the back, and it is not a camera bump. It is actually flush, which is really nice. And you have some pogo pins for some accessories. Overall, the unit looks absolutely gorgeous in terms of the way it is designed. I think they've gone a very good direction, and they've finally done away with the same old body they've been using to death. Now let's weigh it, and we are sitting at 413 grams, so it's on the mid-range weight class. It's not heavy, it's not light, just falls somewhere in the middle. Now for the pen, which is really nice as well. You have this very nice push down eraser at the back. You have a almost HB2 pencil-like line that extends the length of the unit, and you have a little divot at the back as well, just for some extra style. It does snap to the device as well, and it uses the same traditional tips that all the devices in its class uses. So if you have a Remarkable, if you have a Kindle Scribe, it's all going to be exactly the same. And in terms of the weight, it is 16 grams, so the pen itself is on the heavier side of things, and the entire thing is coated in this almost truck bedliner kind of flock. It has incredible grip and a very nice weight in the hands. Two things we'll point out in the UI here. You'll see that we are loaded with specs, which is really nice. Now, 28 gigabytes are earmarked for the operating system alone, which is a massive amount. That's got to be one of the most allocated amount of storage we think we've ever seen. But we are sitting at Android 14, so all is forgiven, I guess. If we go home, the UI is not really that different than the previous gens. It has the rail on the side that has all your kind of quick access and everything in the middle here. You also have your floating ball, which you can expand and you can actually just get rid of if you want. And the top drop down has all of your good stuff. So as you drop the top down, you have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Eink Center, we'll show you that in a second, touch, power management, settings, all that good stuff. You also have the glow lights. We don't really need to show glow lights anymore. Back in 2015, when glow lights were kind of emerging, it was really a challenge and a battle to see who was the best. They've converted to gel layers now. They don't have backlight, they don't have front light, they're just an illuminated layer. So you're going to find very little if no inconsistencies in any modern day device, so just take it from that and take it from us. You have a volume control as well, which is really nice. Eink Center is what you will live and die by. This has all of your settings. This has your different styles of vividness. You can also add HD256, you have Regal, and you can go to custom, which allows you to do all of this stuff. Anti-shake and auto clean helps with videos. We'll show you that during the video segment. You have vivid enhancement, color brightness, full refresh frequency, and these modes right here this is your golden ticket to having a fast device or a slow device that looks good, or normal, which is fast as they call it. They've just deemed it fast, and it will give you a good experience overall. So you will have to be visiting your Eink Center from the top drop down a lot on this unit. We're not going to spend too much time on this portion. It's ebooks. I mean, ebooks are ebooks. They work. That's kind of end of story. But we'll look at it all the same a little bit. Ebooks can be changed with the information on the top right corner. You can change the style. You can change the text size, upwards of hundreds of % in increase. And of course, you have the ability to long press. You take your highlights, you take your notes, etc. Now, why we're kind of skipping over this is because ebooks have kind of stabilized ever since 2014. I mean, there's no real slowdowns or anything anymore, and even if you do come across a slowdown, much like you saw there, just go to custom, go to extreme mode, go back to it, and now it's fast. And in fact, you even get the fluidity of the page peak. So we really don't have to touch on it and say, how does it look, how does it perform, etc. Now, in terms of how it looks, just really quickly, we'll bring something into the frame that you'll see how white this is and how gray this is. And this is not the fault of Bigme. In fact, if you bring anything into frame, you'll see that it's just going to pale in comparison, and that's because color is more gray, and that's all we can really do about it. But overall, the experience is quite nice, and the drop shadow is almost non-existent. This feels very flush to the screen up high, so it really does give you the ability to get a solid reading experience. Manga is definitely something we have to cover because we always cover it. I mean, there's some device manufacturers like MeBook, for example, that literally market themselves as manga readers. Kobo Rakuten in Japan, Rakuten's a huge company, they sell all their Kobo devices as manga readers, so it's critical that we touch on this. The first page is going to be color, and the next subsequent pages are not going to be color anymore because, well, manga is black and white. So you'll see that it is looking pretty nice. You do have the ability to pinch and zoom, and again, we have to always go back to this HD256 mode, Regal mode, Extreme mode, whatever you're going to kind of find yourself needing at any given time, because this is going to really change based off of the mode that you're using. But you see it's quite nice, honestly. This has 300 ppi. You're not going to be losing out on anything in terms of the processing power. It is a very capable unit. Yes, you can read manga. Yes, it works flawlessly. There's really no issues or slowdowns of any kind. It's an overall very high quality manga device. Notes is really where we want to focus this unit on, and then we'll go into some multimedia, because Bigme is right up there with Onyx when it comes to notes. I mean, they are. It's an indisputed fact that they have a high quality note-taking experience. So you have a bunch of pens here that you can customize as well. You can change them to pencil, brush, ball pen, mark pen, pen itself. I mean, there's really a lot of options here, and you have a ton of colors, 16 colors in fact. So if I go pencil and I go yellow with a thick line, you'll see that I now have the ability to do a yellow pencil, and much the same for switching any colors. Now, how does it work with tilt? Because a lot of devices pride themselves on their tilting capabilities, and you'll see here that it doesn't do it. It actually doesn't have a very strong degree. You see, it doesn't even make any mark till you move about maybe 20%, 30 degrees to the side, and then you can do that. Now, it does have pressure sensitivity, but it doesn't have any tilt whatsoever. In fact, it doesn't even work sometimes. The eraser is quite nice as well. You can zone erase, and you'll see it didn't work 100% there because we have to change it to stroke eraser for it to work properly. So if we go here, we'll go stroke eraser and then use the back, and you see that it now utilizes the eraser and goes away. Now, I don't like the constant refresh that it kind of triggers in order for it to do a stroke erase, so it's not quite to the degree of, say, a V-Woods pen or even an iFlyTech pen that has a kind of higher degree of accuracy. I would say the eraser portion of this pen and experience is quite low, in fact. Now, we do have some other things down here. We have templates. Templates are really nice because what this allows you to do is choose your background, and there's a lot of them. You have recent, office, learn, default, and local, and there's pages upon pages upon pages upon pages and categories upon categories. This has to be the most amount of choices we've ever seen by default. Now remember, you can sideload in your own PDFs that have any background you want and simply just draw on them. So there really is no need to live and die by the choices you have under templates, but it is nice to have that many as an option. You also have shapes, which is really nice. Now you can see they very clearly took a page out of the book of Onyx with the dotted lines, because they never had these up until kind of recently. And I mean, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. They see Onyx doing something that works, that we've praised, and they naturally want to do it themselves. So if I wanted to make a thick line red box with a dotted line inconsistently, you press confirm and there you go, there's my box. I mean, that would take forever to draw on a Supernote, on a Pen Star, on other devices that just don't have the ability to make these kind of quick access solutions that these guys have. You can even go solid line, circle, and you can fill it with a toggle, and now it's a full circle. I mean, I don't even believe I've seen a fill toggle before in any eNote, so it's quite spectacular. You also have the paint bucket if you want to fill yourself. Now we're going to look at AI, and this is utilizing OCR. So Bigme really has invested themselves in AI, so we're going to see how it all works. So that was pretty good, except it chose I space am as Ian, so you're gonna have to run in there and change it, which you can, because you can just pick up where you left off using the keyboard. And there's a bunch of different choices down here as well, and more of these are going to be added as time goes on. You can even click more languages and download the ones. So in that regard, it's pretty accurate, and it's not all that bad, but it made a little bit of a hiccup there. You can also go to Insert, which is really nice. Insert's going to allow you to put a bunch of stuff in there. I'll tell you, you have insert photo, text, attachment, note, document, web page, time code. Web page is really nice because you can put hyperlinks. So if you want to write something to someone, you can put in a web page, type it in, and when they click on that, it will utilize the browser and go over to that. So that's really nice. You have some gesture controls as well. Swipe back, swipe out from the bottom, and slide for page turning. You also have more, which adds a little bit more, some features right here. You can click on that and encrypt it, rename, or do custom with the sidebar. You can choose to delete things, move things around. One thing I don't like about the UI elements, as you try to touch things, it kind of moves around a little bit. You see that because you can reposition it, and if it's not anchored, you get this problem of always kind of everything moving around. And it's kind of interesting because it gives you this kind of Adobe editing level of customization, but at the same point it's a little bit intrusive, and you got to have your accuracies for your touch boxes, or else things are just going to kind of shift. In terms of the note-taking feel, it's a little bit unfortunate. The unit is very fast. The pen feels good in the hand, and it's weighted quite nicely, but the note-taking realism is bad. It's not good. That's subjective. What I'll say is it doesn't feel like paper. This is incredibly slippery. There's virtually no grip on the screen whatsoever. If you're looking for a smooth experience, this is for you. If you are looking for paper realism, that's not for you. This is nothing like paper. We see a lot of manufacturers come to the races, like even V-Woods, for example, that has a nice kind of gritty texture to it. You get some noise out of it, but this is just so smooth. It's completely unnatural, and you lose a lot of that kind of paper-like feel, and I don't think they really did anything to the top coat to really aid in this. It's just it's almost like they avoided it feeling like paper, but a lot of people like that kind of iPad, Apple Pencil, tablet-esque experience, and if so, then this is for you. The colors are quite nice, and they land on the page pretty well. Overall, they're kind of oily and they're creamy. They have nice edges. The high PPI really does do it justice when it comes to putting colors down on the page. And when you draw multiple colors over each other, they blend pretty well, all things considered. I like and I don't like split screen. The reason I like it is because it has it and it works well. The reason I don't like it is because the screen is too small. It's the length of the pen, so you don't have any screen real estate to work with, and that's no fault of Bigme necessarily, because they have had 13.3s in the past, these guys, but with this particular unit, I don't know what happened there, but with this particular unit, you do get the ability to draw on this side and turn pages on this side. Now, there's a flaw with this unit, and things we have seen on some other units like Penstar, for example, that actually did this pretty well. These guys fail at a little bit, and I'll explain. If you're writing here, watch this when I cross the middle portion. Watch this. I can't write. Now, why is that? Well, I have to trigger it. So I have to do the thing in order to tell it I'm over here, and I don't like that. So if I want to say, oh, I want to make a note over here on the left side, I can't do it. I have to make a note here, tap to trigger I'm using this side, and then I can do it. It's a little bit of a flaw that many manufacturers have overcame. So it's almost as if it was a mistake and really should address it, because it doesn't seem to be an issue for many manufacturers in the game. But it is nice to have this split screen, and you can actually choose how big you want either side to be, which is really nice. Now I have this kind of little post-it note on this side, and I have a bigger, maybe 7-inch e-reader on this side. So they do give it to you to craft your own experience. So it does work well, but there's just a few things they have to address for it to be a little bit more perfect. Because this has a camera, it satisfies a lot of prerequisites for Android apps to be able to download things with camera requirements, but otherwise it has a pretty decent overall document scanner. So you can see we just took a picture of the back of the unit here, and what is impressive is that it not only took a picture of it, it did it in every single language. You can see it did Spanish, it did Japanese characters, it did English, it did parentheses, it did a bunch of them. Just really cool. And it actually scanned and broke down the barcode, which I didn't even know I took a picture of till I reviewed it right there. So overall, the document scanner is on point. It extracted a ton of information, not without its inconsistencies. For example, 2024 skipped a line, you just edit it and there it goes. So you can run in there after the fact, but well done actually. What's the final verdict for the B1051C? Well, they may very well have the best and most unique build we've seen in quite some time on an eNote, and the specs are impressive, but when it comes to real-world tests, they have a ways to go. Staining is very prevalent, some UI elements are strangely placed, and the note-taking feel leaves us wanting, unless you want a iPad-level smooth experience. Bigme is no stranger to fully loaded units, and this is exactly what they've delivered, and then some. But there's just a few little things they need to tweak for them to fully polish up the 1051C.